Hello everyone, welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. This will be a little bit of some post-commentary on a mission I had done quite late at night, and that is Phantom Limbs. You'll be being sent to rescue your best friend McDonald, or should I say Kazuhira Miller. And I decided to myself, let's keep this playthrough as close to being as normalized as possible. So I'm not going to use some of the equipment that you didn't have in the beginning of the game. Fair and fine, I've already upgraded my tranquilizer dart gun, my pistol, my Wu pistol. I can't revert back to the default one as I know without the blacksmith, so there's nothing I can do about that. I'm going to, same with the camouflage, I'm going to stick to as basic a camo as possible. No sneaking suit, no battle dress, none of that nonsense. Try keep it a little bit authentic just to make it a little bit more challenging, so we'll see how it goes.
The area ahead is under total Soviet control. Miller's been captive for 10 days. Not much time left.
Weather will clear shortly.
Storm's passing.
Getting used to it? After 9 years on ice, solo infiltration of the Soviet main ground forces. Should be the perfect warm-up. Kazuhira Miller is being held in Ghwandai Khai to the north. Check its location now. Take out your iDroid. You see Ghwandai on the map? That's where they're keeping Miller. Only problem is, we don't know his exact location. Finding it is your first priority.
Got your binoculars? Or should I say, your int scope?
See the village? Straight ahead? All right, that's the village. If you see something through the binoculars and you need more information, just give me a call. I'll tell you anything I can about it. That's Violo Village. The Violo Calais. The villagers fled the war and evacuated a while back. Since then, it's become a base for the Soviets' 40th Army. A few days ago, Miller was taken through there, en route towards Ghwandai Khai. You may be able to pick up the trail there. It's worth a shot. Put a marker on it so you don't lose track of where it is.
Marker placed.
Now you won't have to worry about getting lost along the way.
You can't have much left in him. I give him 3 days, tops. If we fail, and he dies, we lose our chance of revenge. But we need more intel. If you just go charging into Ghwandai Khai, you'll be putting both your lives at risk. See what you can find out first. The Soviets have other outposts, not just the one you saw. Afghanistan is a big place. I expect you'll become quite familiar with those binoculars as you plan your next move. How and where you make it, well, that's up to you. From here on out, you're on your own. You're a legend in the eyes of those who live on the battlefield. That's why you have to handle this mission yourself. Put those 9 years behind you, and return as Big Boss. That's how Koss would want it. I'll be sending additional intel by radio. Stay sharp. Not one of Miller's bodyguards survived. And they were good. All we found on the scene were their corpses and these. You'll be missing them. And you're his only hope of getting them back. Now go! Let the legend come back to life.
And here we are in Metal Gear. We started off the mission Phantom Limbs. As was said, we have to rescue Miller. He was, after the events of Ground Zeroes, when Big Boss got into a coma, I started training rebels here in Afghanistan, sort of as a side job.
The sheerest cliffs are climbable if there are cracks you can use as handholds. You might even find some unexpected routes that way. Keep an eye out for cracks on your travels.
Sort of as a side job, I guess, trying to raise up funds for potential revenge against Cypher. But now that he got himself involved in such a thing without Big Boss, he's managed to find himself captured and potentially about to get executed, hence why Ocelot was sent in to rescue Big Boss so as to rescue Miller himself. Yeah, well. That's currently the situation of things, but one thing that interests me, and I believe it's, if you're listening in, something that interests you as well. Can't believe I missed that diamond. But anyway, when we play games, sometimes you have to look at the game design aspect of things. You have to look in depth within the mechanics of the game themselves. Even though I don't claim to be a game designer myself, it's always good to criticize some things you believe could have been changed or could have been implemented within the game. Now, when I look at Metal Gear Solid The Phantom Pain, fair and fine, this game is amazing, but it's far from perfect, even though some people have scored it perfect scores. One thing that I personally would have thought would have fleshed out the environment so much was actually putting civilization, because when you are in The Phantom Pain, what else can you do besides playing The Phantom Pain? This was an article that was written by PC Gamer quite a while back. You can check it out. The headline was, what else can you do in Phantom Pain besides play Phantom Pain? Each open world area within the game is a sandbox of military bases, or should I say military camps. There's no civilization, no NPCs that are not hostile. There are no political and social struggles that usually NPCs provide when they bring in their lore. The NPCs usually bring in lore, information about the areas, and they bring substance to the life of the area. Just imagine, for example, finding you're riding in the desert, and you find that there are civilians herding their sheep, running away from an encampment of soldiers that's clearing the area of, for example, Muslim worshippers within Afghanistan. Wouldn't that bring more substance into the game? Because now you're torn in the fact that, should I just do my mission as Big Boss to infiltrate this soldier encampment and forget about these civilians that are stuck in this political religious war? Or should I actually help the the civilians and prisoners who have been victimized by this war, and their points of view? I believe that NPCs could have really fleshed out this world, because personally speaking, I hate to say it, every time I see people write things like this about open world games, it kind of gets to me. For example, once upon a time, I was in a Steam forum on The Witcher 3. You all know I love The Witcher series, but someone was like, I believe The Witcher 3 is a lifeless open world, and there's not much to do. In his case, I personally disagree. I believe The Witcher has a lot. You have NPCs, different stories, mountains of dialogues, cities, villages, articles, relics, so much to read about and so much to learn about the environments of the game that actually impacts the gameplay itself. But within the Phantom Pain, besides you and your development items such as your weapons and your buddies, what else is there in Afghanistan? It's just you and soldiers. There's nothing else. There's no other dynamics within the open world environment. It's just a sandbox stealth game, which is okay. It's perfect, but I believe it would have been better.
If there are clues to Miller's whereabouts, I'll bet you can find them in there.
Fair and fine, there are prisoners of war which you can extract within the game.
There could be intel files of some kind in there.
There are prisoners of war you can extract in the game, and some of them do have a little bit of backstory to them, which is perfectly fine. At least I appreciate that much of the game. But like I said, look at this, where we are infiltrating this ruined village. We assume it's ruined because of the war with the Soviet Union, but none of that is actually well, it is said because you know that this is the time in which Russia invaded Afghanistan, but within the game itself it does not show you any struggle. It doesn't show you any conflict within the locals against the Russians, and you don't really pick up any dialogues or any notes that were written down by actual civilians. You may get cassette tapes that are recorded by the main protagonists of the game, but there are no cassette tapes that were recorded or left behind by probably Afghani soldiers or Afghani government or Russian government or any NPCs or shepherds, herders, businessmen, anyone who used to live within this area. It's as if this area was empty before the war even began. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking things and I have a terrible point of view, but I believe that civilians, government, NPCs, and settlements that weren't military camps mixed in with these military strongholds would have literally not boosted the game. Wouldn't have really boosted the game, but definitely would have brought in a new dynamic within the social standings within the game itself. It would give gravitas to the characters that you meet, because now since it's tactical espionage action, you can now actually infiltrate into encampments, you can infiltrate into settlements and then make contacts, and these contacts can be the ones helping you complete your missions. For example, if you know that you have to go rescue Miller, but his village is the village in which Miller is kept in is probably like 50 kilometers away from one Afghani encampment. And you could go in there, talking with the leader, be like, yo, we want Miller, but we know that you have some dispute with the Russians. We can do something for you in assistance that you help us extract Miller. Then they'll be like, okay, fine, potentially if you get the certain blueprint of a gun that the Russians are using against the Afghani soldiers, we can gladly assist in helping you extract Miller out of Afghanistan and things like that. Or we can give you some resources, or we can send in our men as a distraction, have a mini skirmish with the Russians while you sneak in and get Miller, and then you're balancing politics between the Russians and the Afghani forces. I don't know. Personally, I feel that the game mechanics themselves within the game are very good for the game, but a lot more could have been implemented within the game that would have made the game even more stellar. Quite an interesting note is that actually there was an article that was released in which people, the journalists were talking to Kojima, and he actually said some interesting things that I believe we'll talk about as soon as we can scan this document that we've found.
You have arrived at your destination. Intel
So you picked up an intel file.
Arrived
Now we know where Miller is. I'm marking it on your iDroid.
The map has been updated.
As I was saying, they were talking to Kojima and he was just giving some pointers, some tips for players getting started in the Phantom Pain, his personal advice on how to begin and learn the mechanics of the game. And he himself even said that after launch he stopped playing his game because every time he would play the game he would find so many things that he should have improved, and this kind of it didn't sit well with him. Even though the game is good, even he saw that there was a lot to improve and he decided, you know what, let me just stop playing the game at home. He was talking about his personal play at home whenever he gets the chance to be with his family. He just stopped playing the Phantom Pain. I was like, I'm done with it. There's so much to criticize now since it's finished and there's no more editing that can be done of the game. It's now up to us as the community to accept it for what it is and get good and discover what's been placed within the game and within Metal Gear Online. But he himself has not given up, but he's done playing the game. he can't get past the notion that there's so many things that even he, in this day, still wants to get his development team to change and be like, yo guys, help me discuss, help me come up with new ideas on what to do. But it's quite an interesting take. It's very, I guess it's kind of, it's the way humanity is. I've never met many, I have a few friends who are into music and record their own music and make songs, and not many of them actually listen to their music as much as the people who they distribute the music to. I've never found an artist, for example 50 Cent, listening to his own album every day and enjoying it. Because I guess every time he does, he criticizes some of the things or decisions that he made in making the album. Going on a tangent, but that's just some interesting takes on some of the ideas. I believe that there should have been some sort of NPCs. One game that I liked a long time ago, when I first started getting into PC gaming, well not first, but the first time I built a rig that I was proud of was Far Cry 2. And Far Cry 2 also had this, you are sent into...
It's an enemy guard post. Watch yourself.
You're sent into the wild open world, and you're supposed to make do with the resources that you find within the area of operation. Even though here Mother Base kind of helps you, it can only help you so much. So within Far Cry, the whole idea was you go in and you establish contacts with different governmental factions and different soldiers and different killers, and you try use these connections and contacts to try complete your goal, because the whole goal of Far Cry 2 was for the main protagonist to infiltrate this unknown country or unknown city within a country in Africa, and to eliminate the Jackal, who was a renegade arms dealer who was destabilizing the economic balance of arms trade within the world. So you were sent to assassinate him. In other words, this entrepreneur. And that's all you have. The rest you have to find the information for yourself by establishing connections with different military, different people, different NPCs who exist within the game. And I believe that Big Boss could have done it in the same way. The reason why I say so is Ocelot. Anyway, they know that Cypher has operations in different parts of the world. So what would be the best way to do it? You go around, you start interrogating different people, you start getting and buying information from certain people, certain dealers, certain information holders, spies, agents, different people, and probably killing other people for information and finding information in different bases.
At least one day. They've got Miller locked up in that town. Check your iDroid for his location. I hope to hell he's all right. He's not your average client.
That would have brought in a secondary dynamics of the game.
Analysis complete.
But some person may come with counter arguments towards me and say that there was already cut content, like for example Mission 51 and some other parts of the game that were cut because of the fact that at some point during the development of the game there was now internal disputes between Kojima Productions and Konami. Someone can say that influenced a certain portion of the development of the game, and of which personally with the Mission 51 idea, I actually think that could have been true. I'm not saying that Kojima is a saint. That's the one thing that I've noticed on the internet, is that many people think that Kojima is a flawless being who did nothing wrong within the company. I'm sure Konami had reasons for making the decisions that they did, and I know the new CEO who took over after the older one, who bear in mind the older CEO of Konami had a very strong friendship with Kojima, hence why Kojima had such freedom in making the games that he wanted to make within the company of Konami, hence why he was even granted his own studio. But then the new CEO said, we have to batten down the hatches, we now need to maximize profits, and you know, we have to make some sacrifices. And then the arguments began, and then the disputes began, and then people kind of got angry at each other in a way. So I'm not saying Konami is a saint, and I'm not saying Kojima is a saint either. But I believe that the disputes and the restrictions that were put on the employees definitely had a toll on the game at some point. So for example, you might be shocked that the first 2 chapters, or the first chapter in Afghanistan, was done with creative freedom, and then after that, as they were progressing within the game, after they'd made the Fox engine in the beginning, the chapter 1, the prologue and stuff like that, things started to change. That button down, no you can't do this, no you can't do that, no you can't do this, no you can't do that, you can only do this, this, this and that, okay we approve this, this, this and that. It could have influenced this, because I do have to say, as you're going into the missions in Africa, I don't know, the pace of the game doesn't really change much, but it just feels a bit watered down. I don't know, there's some aspects of the game, not just Africa in particular, but there are many aspects of the game that I believe that could have been taken a step further, but they were held back for some reason. But anyway, who knows what could have been happening. I don't work for either company, so I wouldn't actually know.
That's the building, boss. That's where they're holding Miller.
But just a little disclaimer, you may notice that I had the option to full turn. The reason I didn't full turn was because when you actually start the game from the beginning, you do not have the full turn at this portion of the game, so I decided to keep it as close to being as default as possible with the devices I could use. So I just kept it vanilla. That, and also you may notice that I'm able to understand Russian. Within the game, Big Boss, the subtitles is deciphering what they're saying. That shouldn't be the case as well. Later on in the game, i.e. after this mission, you have the chance, a side op, to go rescue a Russian interpreter, and technically you shouldn't be able to interrogate or ask these guys or understand anything they're saying, so that's something I could not turn off. But an interesting side note before we meet Miller, you do have to understand that Big Boss knew multitudes of languages. If you played Metal Gear Solid 3, when you meet Sokolov for the first time, he compliments Big Boss, or should I say Naked Snake, on his knowledge of Russian, saying that your Russian is superb. So someone might wonder then, why is it that all of a sudden you do not understand Russian? And that's actually, well, I personally believe, I don't know if they disclosed this, like confirmed it, but due to the accident after Ground Zeroes, the big crash, he lost a lot of his functionality in the brain.
God. No more use for me, huh? Guys, it's me. I'm here to get you out. Snake. They do something to your eyes? No, it's just bright as all. Took you so long. We'll talk, but not here.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
You've secured the target. I'll send the chopper to get you out. Make your way to the RV. You can check the location on your iDroid.
Mission info has been updated.
Some grueling torture that Miller must have been put through. Lost his arm, lost his eye, lost his leg. Must have been really beaten and mutilated. It's quite sad, really.
Magic words, boss. I've been waiting 9 years to hear them. Kept you waiting, huh? Come on. Say it for all time's sake.
It's quite sad. But like I said, there are many aspects that could have been further improved, even though the game itself, as it is compared to other games, it's really an amazing game, but it could have improved on certain things. It's good to show that, for example, someone can come to you in life and say, you know, life is hard because there are child soldiers, there is inhumane activities against people are being tortured and enslaved. I can say all these things, but if they bear no context, then it's what? It's like if you found Miller with all his limbs intact and his eye, and maybe just with some bruises, and finding him right now, it shows you the severity of his torture. But then what? You do not know who tortured him and for what reason, so there's no gravitas to the action. But at least they put the effort in showing you the torture, well, the results of torture. But I believe the emphasis should be more on the torture itself and what it means to people psychologically and physically, if you really wanted to bear gravity.
Covering the LZ. We can't land. Pulling back.
Gas. It's them. Boss, watch out. It's the skulls. Don't let them find us.
Extraction arrived.
Whatever that mist is, it's all around you. We can't see through it. I'm changing the RV so it's outside the mist. Get over there. The chopper will be waiting.
Like I was saying, the result isn't sometimes as powerful as the process itself. Miller has already encountered the Skulls unit before, hence why he already knows about them. But wouldn't it have been cool to hear some backstory first on these Skulls unit, because you had never met them in any other game? So it's like, you get this backstory, you get this build up to the Skulls unit, and then when you least expect it, bam, the Skulls unit catches you off guard and you're like, oh no. That would have been cool, but it's now like, oh, here, the Skulls. Yeah, true, here they are. Yeah, you've never seen them before, yeah, so here they are. Who cares about any backstory or why they are the way they are? But of course, I'm sure they will explain it at some point in the game, I would hope. I would hope. But yeah, some of the boss encounters of this game are very lackluster, to say the least. But besides that, do have to say the gameplay is top notch, and it's not a perfect game, but definitely a very good game. Don't know how this post-commentary session turned into me talking about the pros and cons of Phantom Pain, but I don't know. I just hope that people don't get the wrong idea of what I'm trying to say. Just hope you can analyze it for yourself, see it for yourself, and have a blast while we try make our way to this chop-out miller. Seems as if certain encampments around the mist just evacuated. Makes you wonder.
That's the unit that attacked us before. They came at us real fast in the same kind of mist. Our men, survivors from 9 years ago, were wiped out in minutes. I don't know what they want, but it's them. No mistake.
Makes you wonder if they killed all the Russian soldiers as they were approaching Snake, or the guys just fled from the mist. I don't know. If they fled, it kinda shows that even most people already know that the Skulls unit exists and it's not something to mess around with. But anyway, that's the Phantom Limbs main op. I hope you enjoyed. If you would like to support me, please like the video and subscribe. I don't usually ask people for this, but I would hope that you'd find it in your heart to do this for me, as I believe that it would help me immensely, and by showing me your appreciation, I would gladly make more videos and try to keep people entertained and stuff. But besides that, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. Can't really predict much in life.
Headed for the Seychelles. That's where our new home is now. Hey. That was some operation we had, huh? 9 years ago. Carving out our own world. Making our own future. And they took it away. I'm gonna rebuild it. Make a new place. Together. That we can call home. Yeah, we were dogs, all right. Slinking around out of Cypher's sight. Digging up whatever kind of dirty money we could find. You name it. We did it. You see this? Diamond Dogs. Our new home. The phantom of our former selves. Triumph. Death. We weren't allowed either. Yeah. I remember it all.
ass like a damn fiddle!
Help me, Snake. Chico.
It all ends soon, exactly as I've planned.
Give my regards to your boss when you get home.